Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to episode 176 of Byte, that's Wrestling Podcast, the somewhat, maybe international professional wrestling podcast where we talk about the ups and downs of that which we love, which is the world of the WWE. It's a brand new year, but we still have Raw. We still have Smackdown. We have possibly maybe 20 to 40 more WWE shows to look forward to by end of year. So it's going to be quite the experience, quite the roller coaster ride. Now, I did just say episode 176. That's because last week we did have the BT Awards. We're going to be having a fallout of sorts about that in the second half of the show. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. Over 8,000 downloads on iTunes alone, not including YouTube. So that is just absolutely awesome. Remember, we are available every single Wednesday night on a variety of platforms. If you want to support us directly, simply go over to patreon.com/bythat. For as little as $1, you get yourself a Raw, uncut video version of the podcast and tons of cool other features, including an exclusive behind-the-scenes update. My name is Juan Velas. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Joining me, 2017, New Year, same old guys. We got Ryan McNulty from Boston, Mass, and Keith Poshik from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Guys, how was your New Year weekend? Did you get drunk? I don't want any stories that we just can't talk about here. Legally.
All right, I can't talk about any of my New Year.
How was your weekend, buddy? Was it good?
Mine was good. I kept it pretty low key, so no horrible stories, no horror stories, no crazy stories. Just a nice long weekend, much needed.
Okay, Keith, you can talk now. No, nothing. Well, I had a good weekend.
Hey, New Year's, New Year, New Me, right? Yeah. Let's do it, guys.
No, we like old Keith. Or wait, do we like old Keith? I'm not sure. Have we decided on that, Ryan?
We have not. I don't even know. You never know which Keith to expect, so.
It's true.
But regardless, a lot of things happened. You know, unfortunately, last week, Smackdown was a great show. Easily one of the best Smackdowns of the year. Now, Raw, I did tune in a little bit because we had a bit of a wrestling break last week, but we did tune into Raw, or at least I did, for a portion of it, and I tuned out because I realized that was not a good show to talk about. But
let me ask you one.
What?
How nice does it feel? Doesn't it feel so good?
Oh, it felt kind of glorious. Even though sometimes I've said it on the show, I'll watch a YouTube clip version of Raw because WWE does such a good job of posting enough things on their YouTube channel that you don't need to watch all of the 3 hours, even though I kind of do, because it helps me get productive and a bunch of stuff. But let's get to Raw and SmackDown this week, folks. Remember that each and every week we head on over to the Twitter machine. We head on over to Twitter. That is twitter.com/ByteThatCast. We look for your feedback as to what you thought about Raw, what you thought about SmackDown. Now, in regards to this week's Raw, we saw that only 5% of you said that Raw was a great show. 38% gave it 3 out of 4, stating it was a solid show, followed by 33% saying it was meh. Now, when you go over to the SmackDown side of things, we get that 58, over half of you, gave it 4 out of 4, stating it was great. Nobody, not a single person, gave it 1 out of 4, saying it was a bad show. This is going to keep happening if things don't change. I don't think it has anything to do really with the 2 to 3 hour format. We're going to get to talking about the brand new show with Peter Rosenberg a little bit later on. But I want to get your overall impressions. Did you guys think that Raw and SmackDown set up a really good 2017, a sort of what's to come with Goldberg, with so many of the things that did happen this week?
Well, I don't think it really involves the whole 2 to 3 hour difference. I think the biggest problem with Raw this week was that it felt so long. I don't know, I can't really put a finger on it, but it just dragged, especially going into that third hour. It just didn't really have that much momentum going, I guess, and it felt like just the biggest slog, and that's where it kind of lost me. So yeah, I can see why people gave it those poll numbers.
Raw definitely wasn't as bad as it could have been. We've seen a lot worse. So the whole thing with Goldberg actually kind of kept you interested to want to tune in. For me, what's kind of really making Raw drag is that the Jericho, Owens, Rollins, Reigns thing is really getting old, and I don't think they're doing enough to really make it fresh. It's just kind of, you're interchanging the four of those guys over and over again. And SmackDown has a more limited roster, but they're just smarter with how they use their roster to try and keep things interesting. And SmackDown was just definitely the better show. You ended the show with the Intercontinental title match. You had John Cena with his contract signing with AJ Styles. You get the whole luchadora thing with Becky Lynch. There's different things you want to find out about what's going on with SmackDown. And they're just better at utilizing their talent and keeping things interesting. One quick thing I wanted to say that was significant about the previous week's shows that we did not cover was that SmackDown actually beat Raw in the ratings for like the first week ever since.
Which is amazing.
It is amazing until you kind of really look at how much the deck was actually stacked against Raw that particular week. It was coming right after Christmas, and the SmackDown leading up to it was heavily promoted with like 3 title matches, whereas Raw really had nothing going on. So that happened to be an instance where SmackDown's been deserving to win the ratings for a while, but Raw's probably still going to continue to win for a while. This just happened to be a situation where the odds were just all in SmackDown's favor this particular week. And even though SmackDown is a better show, I'm expecting the ratings to revert back to normal this week and moving forward, at least for a while.
But that being said, I think that SmackDown just does an excellent job, and they did it again this week. They almost don't need pay-per-views. They do an excellent job of doing what NXT did, and funnily enough, they do have the NXT rider where they can build up a SmackDown that feels like a pay-per-view. Last week, SmackDown had 3 matches? How many people were complaining? Nobody.
Well, it's 3 title matches.
Yeah, but we get title matches all the time on Raw, and they feel like TV matches. With this, I kind of felt like, man, what we're getting here, you could totally put on a pay-per-view, and I would be very happy with it, but you're giving it to me here anyway, so I'm still happy about it. You mentioned La Luchadora. Such an excellent thing that they're able to do this storyline where you don't know who it is. Now, there are rumors that it's Deonna Purrazzo from NXT. She was on SmackDown Live a couple of weeks ago, so maybe that's going to be happening. You have things unfolding with James Ellsworth. He's finally moving on with the whole thing happening with Carmella and a bit of a heel attitude. Then you look at a guy like Dolph Ziggler, and then he finally snapped. Now, you look at Raw, and okay, so we got Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn, and that was a good match. I will say for a last man standing, they did an excellent job. They're doing this storyline where Zayn just can't hang with him. He just cannot do that. And that is the great ultimate underdog story that I think that he can do that properly. And I've mentioned it time and time again. I love me some Braun Strowman. The way that he doesn't act like a monster. He looks like a monster. And this did an excellent job of portraying him as so. Did you guys really enjoy this match?
I thought it was good.
I'd say yeah. It was the highlight of Raw, easily.
Yeah, so
Strowman's come a long way.
He has come a long way. So when you look at that, and then you bring him to the main event where we had the Kevin Owens show, that was a little bit unexpected, right? Where, first of all, we got to talk about the set. What the hell? With the guy and the sign. I mean, creative, right? You got to give points for that.
Where did that come from? Was that a joke that went over my head, or was that just a very straight out of nowhere thing?
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, to me, I think it's just kind of the flavor of comedy they're going for with Owens and Jericho, where they're just trying to demean people, and to have a guy put a sign over his face and just be the sign for the show, I think just kind of fits into their kind of looking down on everybody persona.
Yeah, so I think that's something that was really good. But then the whole thing was revolved around Goldberg coming out. Now later, earlier on in the night, Roman Reigns did have a match. Ultimately, we were left with this unique scenario where Braun Strowman came out, and then Roman Reigns and Goldberg speared Braun Strowman. And maybe that was a slight tease of what could happen down the line. I don't think it was so much that. I think it's maybe that they're trying really hard to get Roman any kind of rub, and I don't mean that in a wrong way, but you have him at the main event of Raw with Goldberg, the other spear guy, and maybe we get Spirit Squad 2.0. I don't know.
But
oh
boy,
my God.
did that last? Wow,
Spirit
I'm just rolling
Squad.
over that one.
Oh,
the
yeah.
jokes.
Boy,
The
did that
jokes.
last shot, that stare down, look like something you'd put right in a video package. I think it's a little. I don't think it's right to just discredit it as something that couldn't happen or won't happen. It could totally go in that direction with Goldberg winning the Rumble and then maybe Roman winning the title, and that's WrestleMania.
I really think Vince McMahon just did it because he needed more material for his Spank Bank. You know, he needed to get that
Whoa.
shot in there. Yeah. I feel like, okay, they wanted to tease Reigns and Goldberg. I don't think that is a match that's going to happen because I don't think that is going to be a match that would be well received by any WrestleMania crowd.
Would you guys want to see that? Directly talking to you. What are you seeing here that's not just, oh my God, are they going to spear at the same time and knock each other out?
I would
else?
appreciate the fact that Goldberg would do a match that we had not seen before in his kind of return. But the thing is, it's just really hard for me to believe that they're not going to just let Brock Lesnar get his win back. You know what I mean? How do you not have a rematch after what happened with Brock Lesnar? And how many more matches do you think Goldberg's honestly going to do? That's kind of the tricky thing. So I feel like they just wanted to have this is like a big moment thing with Reigns that you can put in a video package later. Like, oh, look, him and Goldberg did a spear together. That's about it. I don't see any way that match actually happens anytime soon unless Goldberg decides he wants to do more matches after WrestleMania, which seems unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Goldberg matches, it's less about, like, you're going to get the same thing no matter what it is, right? So whether it's Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns, even though, yeah, you know, it might not happen, but it would be cool to see Roman in that situation just because it's not Brock Lesnar. It is something new. It's something different. So from that angle, I do like it. But whether it be Brock Lesnar, whether it be Roman Reigns, win or lose, you're going to kind of get the same thing out of a Goldberg match. So I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
I'm not sure how to feel about it. I just think that it was a decent segment, but overall, I've said it so many times, I'm kind of getting tired of it, where Kevin Owens is such an afterthought of a champion when you compare something to like AJ Styles. Even, you know, we took to social media once we talked about our BT Awards, and everybody, the overall consensus is, yeah, Kevin Owens is a champion. He's a talented superstar, but it's really about Jericho. It's about everything but the champion himself. Now, the other thing that did happen on Raw, or that was teased, because we still don't have Emelina, so that's about all I can really say about Emelina, but we are going to get The Undertaker coming back. Remember on Smackdown Live, specifically the other show, he came out there talking about consequences, and the dead man is back, and graves.
Digging holes and taking souls.
I guess he sort of forgot which show that happened on.
Not only
he's
that,
coming
but
on
he
Raw.
said that Smackdown is his brand. He's like loyal to the blue, and now he's showing up on the red.
Maybe he's talking about blue underwear, but then he digs Raw. This is a stretch.
Maybe he's going there to dig Raw's hole and collect Raw's soul.
That could be it.
Or maybe he's going there because SmackDown beat them in the ratings, and they really need to throw some stuff over on Raw.
What can we really expect with this, considering that we even had that conversation of, well, maybe it's The Undertaker versus AJ Styles. It could be a nothing thing. It could just be a cool, fun appearance on Raw where we get The Undertaker back in 2017.
If they advertise it, especially going into the Rumble, I'm fully expecting that he's entering the Royal Rumble. That is what he's announcing.
That seems like a strong
How weird
possibility.
would that be?
But then what happens? Is it going to be like the original Brock Lesnar Goldberg scenario where he's in the Rumble and that initiates a storyline? But even then, right now, say you maybe discard AJ Styles. Oh, come on. Really? Come on now.
Okay.
The Undertaker?
Right. I know we don't want to go too far into the future here, but all I'm going to say is that John Cena's going for a title, and Undertaker could be in the Rumble, and then a WrestleMania match could happen between the two because that's heavily speculated. That is the fastest path to that match. It's likely. It's not impossible.
Does he sell you on that idea, Keith?
While it's a possibility, it seems like that is like the least needed way to go down that path. Like, you're talking about John Cena and The Undertaker, where John Cena can come in and say, hey, I want a title shot. And then The Undertaker can come in and say, hey, I want that title shot too. And then boom, there's the match. You don't really need the Royal Rumble for that.
That doesn't mean that they won't do it.
But that doesn't, it doesn't mean they won't do it, but it seems wasted. Almost.
Okay, but Keith, then for you, considering he said he was going to dig holes, what needs to happen when he grabs that microphone to get you excited for, whatever, the Rumble, Mania? This is Mania season, so it doesn't have to be something that pays off now, because he could easily go on Raw and do the same thing he did on SmackDown, where I'm going to be keeping a close eye on you wacky kids, because I'm the old guy and I'm going to have my last match. I'm looking forward to that, but I think that we need something way more specific, and unless it's AJ Styles, I almost wouldn't mind against Roman Reigns, because we just talked about Reigns and Goldberg. I don't think that's going to be a match. It's going to be Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns, he's the U.S. champion right now, even though he kind of forgets about that. So I think the next best thing is at some point take the title off of him. Screw it. Imagine that crowd reaction, not just because we're going to be there, but people just booing Reigns, and then eventually he spears The Undertaker at WrestleMania. 1, 2, 3.
For the U.S. title?
No, I'm saying take the title off before. Take the title off before.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Honestly, for myself, it's not really about what, like, I'm not going in there saying, I hope The Undertaker does this, or I hope the Undertaker does this. I'm more excited to just see what he does. Because it's interesting when you think back to that SmackDown promo from a couple of months ago, where he's like, WrestleMania won't define me anymore. And then does he come out and say, oh, I'm entering the Rumble to do something big at WrestleMania, and completely go back on that. So they with this, like, yes, I get he's showing up on Raw, but it almost feels like they painted themselves into a corner with it. And I just want to see how they paint themselves out of it more than anything.
Yeah, I think they're going to completely go back on that, because it's like, WrestleMania won't define me. Shows up for WrestleMania season. Good going, Taker. Good going. Yeah, it's totally going to be, he's going to announce that he's in the Rumble.
The Rumble makes so much sense now that you've said it out loud.
What the hell else is it going to be? Is he going to try and, like, start a feud with someone? It just seems so random to just start a feud with someone on Raw.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Out of nowhere.
Wouldn't be the first time.
No, it's true. It's true. But
Let's
it just makes all the more sense. If he's like, I'm back. If he's like, I'm back, then his action is probably going to be, I'm going to enter the Royal Rumble.
With his Triple H feud, it literally started with him showing up on Raw and then Triple H showing up right behind him.
So then let's take a bit of a break from that, because I want to switch gears to SmackDown. Now, we did have something big unfold on SmackDown regarding Dolph Ziggler, where we've talked about this farewell tour that never came to be, where he won the IC championship, lost it, did nothing for a little while, and now this week he had it. He had enough. He super kicked Kalisto after Kalisto just tried to save him. He got into a backstage battle with Apollo Crews. He's saying he doesn't need anybody. He is fed up. I'm surprised it took them this long to do it, honestly, because even then, my reaction, I wanted it to desperately be, yes, finally. I think it's too little too late for me. Then again, SmackDown does great things.
It's still much needed, though. It's still much needed.
Oh, yeah.
Because by Ziggler super kicking Kalisto, it finally took us out of an infinite loop that we had been stuck in. There was an infinite loop where Baron Corbin was only allowed to feud with Kalisto and Dolph Ziggler over and over again for the rest of eternity. But once Ziggler was able to kick Kalisto, the time loop stopped and we are finally free of it. And look what happened. Look what immediately happened after Ziggler super kicked Kalisto. Baron Corbin's in a match with John Cena next week. Just like that. That's all it took. And now Corbin is finally free.
the hero we may not want, but he may be the hero he need. But considering a few weeks ago we were saying, oh, I wish Dolph Ziggler retired instead of winning, any career or any character development or career development is much needed and a positive thing at this point, and I just want to see where they go with it. I mean, they basically did the same thing with the Usos a couple months ago, and it's really worked out, so why can't it work for Dolph?
There was nothing left he could really do as a babyface. So turning him heel was, seriously, if they wanted to keep using Dolph Ziggler, it was pretty much the only way to go, because they'd pretty much exhausted anything they could do with him as a face if they're not going to put him on a main event level, which I don't think at this point in time is the right thing to do.
But on the other side of it, like SmackDown, running out of baby faces. There's not that many good guys left on the blue brand.
Does hurt them, but there was literally nothing left they could do with Dolph Ziggler.
At the same time, though, you can look at that as an opportunity, because Dolph Ziggler was supposed to be the babyface, but what are we sitting here saying? For the love of God, about time you change him heel. So now maybe we can finally get that Kalisto push. A guy like Apollo Crews can get that personality developed. I think that maybe we're going to get some kind of weird alliance. You can just say get that
personality and stuff right there.
Well, that is very true. He really needs that, because the talent for those two guys in particular are there. But you look at Kalisto, Lucha Things, and I don't mean that as a joke, but people after that, they saw him differently. And Apollo Crews, you could tell they were trying really hard, and all of a sudden they just stopped. Like dead center, they stopped.
We didn't do promo of the year, by the way, for the BT Awards. Let's give it to Kalisto, Lucha Things, for promo of the year.
And a runner-up to Apollo Crews's when he said, "Oh God, I'm sorry," to Chris Jericho in the ring.
Wow. A lot of things happen in Warrior that you could easily forget. But I'm hoping that if he still does the same promo style, like he needs to Jericho this. Jericho in 2009 changed the game. It wasn't that he just went from good guy to bad guy. He changed his personality, his look. Like Keith, you just brought up the Usos. Unless he does that, at the end of the day, it is the exact same thing. It's going to be super kick Dolph Ziggler. I've scratched and clawed. I've tried really hard and ultimately I failed. And now you're just going to do that? Because I'm totally expecting him to come out next week and just start saying, the fans, you guys gave up on me, so I'm giving up on you. Boo. And generic heel number 55 has been born. And SmackDown needs defined heels, because you have AJ Styles and The Miz on SmackDown. You can't give me a cheap heel and expect me to get away with it, because those two guys are top notch.
Yeah, there's a lot of diversity among the heels. You get the Wyatt family as well, and you get Baron Corbin. So, Ziggler's going to have to find his niche, but he'll be fine. There's, as much as he may never be that top level guy, there's always a spot where you can plug in Dolph Ziggler to work with somebody, and you're going to get quality work out of it.
And I mean, really more than ever with this change, it's a very sink or swim moment for Dolph, where you're either going to do some of the best work of your career, or you're going to get so lost in the clutter that everybody just forgets about you. Even more than when he was a good guy, because now this is like a big pivot, a big career defining thing. And where Dolph goes from here is really going to set the pace for the next couple of years even.
No, very much agreed though, but SmackDown didn't just have that big unfolding, although it kind of feels like ever since 205 Live happened, Talking Smack has been a great show, but we don't talk about it as much because we have that hour-long gap in between. But this week, I am so happy I did manage to catch Talking Smack, because The Miz, man, God damn it, The Miz, you can be
a top
full
guy edge this week.
Man, he matched Edge. He matched that rated R pissed off superstar in the best way possible, because, okay, so Dean Ambrose is your new Intercontinental Champion. I feel nothing about that. Wouldn't be the first time. We've talked about this cycle where SmackDown, as great of a show as it is, it's limited in its roster. So you have the same people just kind of trading wins and losses back and forth, but it's fun. But then on the other hand, thanks to Dean Ambrose and Renee Young, The Miz was already great. He was already awesome. Now he can easily become SmackDown champion, and I would be very happy with it. He cuts his promo on Talking Smack, talking logically. And then Dana Bryan's responding with logic, but I hate him for it, right? Like he's talking about all these things, how Dana Bryan doesn't respect him, how, he's friends with Dean Ambrose and Renee Young, so that's why he gave him the championship opportunity. What did you guys think about this, where it's not the first time The Miz breaks down on Talking Smack? We've talked about this when it first happened, but they did not only match that, they far exceeded it this time around, at least in my opinion.
I think what's great about The Miz's storylines recently is that they just always find an interesting wrinkle to kind of bring into it. And I love that Renee Young is involved in this storyline a lot. The fact that there is logic involved where you can say, okay, you can argue about Maurice interfering in the match. That's kind of Miz's out of why the match should not have continued based on rules. Like any referee ever usually would just do a disqualification there. But then, because Dean Ambrose did stop the match from happening, like Daniel Bryan kind of has an argument on that side too. It's like both points they say make sense, and that's what makes it compelling. Where there's a lot of storylines in wrestling where you're just like, it's BS, it doesn't make any sense, and it deters you from buying in. The Miz his storylines lately have been really great at having you buy in, and especially his promos are what you can buy into the most. And it was nice to see this wasn't the same Miz that we got, a couple months ago on Talking Smack. This is Miz losing his mind even further than the time before. So he's just over the top. So there's actually an evolution of his character, just kind of losing it more and more, and now he's completely snapped. So what the hell's going to happen next week?
So what you're saying is that the end goal for this is that the Miz joins the Wyatt family.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But no, the thing that's so great about this feud is that you can't just write it off as, oh, this is something that's happening because of Total Divas. It's become so much more than that, where there is that little piece like, oh, you mentioned that Dean Ambrose and Renee Young are an item on Total Divas, and that's kind of where it started, and that's what got Renee in it. But it's evolved so much more than that, where it's barely even about that anymore. And Renee Young is perfect in that way, that she's almost in the exact same role as Maurice. Like, I don't think we'll end up seeing Renee Young or Maurice in the ring, but I'm okay with that. And they just work so perfectly together. Same thing with Dean Ambrose and The Miz. It just works so perfectly. And I'm honestly happy to see Dean Ambrose as the Intercontinental Champion. I strongly believe that The Miz will eventually get it back, and we are nowhere near the end of this feud, but I like to see where it goes.
Yeah, there might be some title trading going on. I highly, highly, highly doubt Renee Young will get in the ring. It's cool enough that she's actually in a storyline. I'm not expecting anything else. She's pretty much stayed out of storylines almost completely until now, so that's why it's really cool just to have her actually be involved in something.
And I'm hoping that they don't get pumped up that she does a good job and they want to keep incorporating her in storylines. The reason this works is because it's real. In 2016, 2017, if you want to get fans invested, like if you listen to what we're saying, it's not the same conversation where, oh man, Roman Reigns being shoved down by the storyline writers and all that. And here, we're actually talking about what they're saying in the storyline, about what The Miz is saying that, oh, in other matches, the referees would disqualify anybody, but here they didn't. The character said that. We're not overthinking that as smarks, as the smart fans, as reading the dirt sheets.
Yeah, we're actually invested in what the characters' positions are instead of what the writing team is thinking, which is cool. It's nice to actually kind of be, immersed in a storyline.
And I hope they continue to do that, because you have the potential now. Of course, you have key players. The Miz is the driving force behind this. Now it's up to Dean Ambrose. I don't think you can do the lunatic character anymore, because how's Renee Young in a relationship with this guy that's super laid back and Total Divas, but then he's supposed to be the lunatic? I'm hoping that in order for the storyline to keep happening and to keep evolving, we tone Dean Ambrose down. He becomes a human being instead of the crazy guy, even though they have done that.
The thing is, he's kind of always been that. They just call him the lunatic. He doesn't really do a ton of crazy things.
No, not really.
But they still play it off like that. Which is the weird thing, right? So I'm hoping they finally just stop.
He never calls himself a lunatic. It's completely the commentary team.
So basically, JBL back at Raw damaged this, and then
exaggerates, but that's something he never does, though. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that is very true. But regardless, I'm very happy with what's happening here, and I hope that it does continue evolving slowly but surely. Now, I want to get to just a quick rumor mill update, because talking about the WWE Hall of Fame, there is this very strong rumor that has me as a very happy camper, considering we are going to be going to the Hall of Fame this year. And that is that, for those that don't know, maybe you want to skip this. Otherwise, usually when these rumors come out, they tend to be true. And the first inductee is going to be DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, the Diamond Cutter Master, DDP Yoga Extraordinaire. And I couldn't be happier. The fact that I do DDP Yoga, Keith and I met DDP in person back in 2012 at Wrestle Reunion. We've seen what DDP has done alongside DDP Yoga for Jake the Snake Roberts, Scott Hall. Now he's got Vader. Sheamus is doing DDP Yoga now. Learned that thanks to Jericho.
Mick Foley.
AJ Styles.
Everybody. Okay, everybody. Is Vince McMahon doing DDP Yoga? He should.
He's way too stubborn, probably.
Yeah. What? God damn it! What's a downward dog?
Oh, don't fill in on Vince. That could go wrong very easily. But I want to get your guys' feedback. DDP, I think he's highly deserved for his WCW stuff plus DDP Yoga. WWE, they messed up there big time. Big time.
Yeah, no, we don't even include that in the conversation. Maybe they'll make one little, and that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing quip, but that's where that should end. But yeah, if you talk about people that aren't in the Hall of Fame that super deserve it, DDP is absolutely on that list. And I think we're at a point where we just have to accept the fact that people that we grew up watching in the Attitude Era are at that level where they can be in the Hall of Fame. Those are Hall of Fame people now, and DDP is on the list of people that deserve it the most, in my opinion. Because not only did he have great in-ring work in WCW back in the day, but I would argue more than almost anybody else, DDP has given back so much to wrestling itself through DDP Yoga. It's crazy being able to give a lot of these older superstars their health back, their fitness back. What he's done is incredible, and he absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame for it. All the recognition in the world.
Yeah, he kind of hits a ton. He hits a lot of points that are great for what WWE wants for somebody in the Hall of Fame. He had a great wrestling career, and that took place mostly in WCW. He had a run in WWE, which is pretty much what WWE cares about. They don't care what you did. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, Sting had an run in WWE. They just want footage of you in a WWE ring.
DDP was in that Royal Rumble that one time, and he came out with Jake the Snake or something, right? That's all that happened in the WWE.
What they look for in requirements are, A, did you have a good wrestling career? Yes. Were you in WWE at any point in time, regardless of what you accomplished there? Yes. Okay, good. And then the added 3, point C, that you were able to do something great in the industry, give back, save people's lives.
I feel like there's at least one dude in the Hall of Fame that somebody's going to call out that said, nope, they weren't in the WWE. I feel that's going to happen.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's a ton of people in the Hall of Fame that weren't in WWE ever. But I'm saying, for the most part, especially guys in like that Attitude Era, they kind of want you to have. I think that's why Sting kind of did that run, because they wanted something on his resume that was in WWE. But obviously, there's plenty of people in there that never touched a WWE ring. But either way, it's awesome that DDP. It's still all a rumor. Let's keep that in mind. But I think we all agree that he absolutely deserves it.
As Keith said, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And folks,
boom.
We have many good things happening in 2017, including an announcement that's not going to happen later on. We're not going to save it. We're going to give this to you right now. We did reach our first patron goal about a month ago, more or less the $50 goal, thanks to everybody that does back us and help contribute directly to our growth. And as a result, there is this 12-hour wrestling game marathon that we're going to be doing, and the date is going to be announced right now. Ryan, are you ready? Can you say the date in the most enthusiastic way possible? Give me the energy. Keith, cry a little. Cry.
The date for our 12-hour wrestling video game marathon will be February 4th, 2017 at 12 p.m. Eastern Time to 12 a.m. I guess February 5th, technically, right? Yeah. So 12
mark your
hours
calendars,
of fun.
check your Palm Pilots, set it in your telephones, mark it on your calendars,
Blackberries.
set yourself a reminder, send yourself a BBM on your Blackberry.
Why
an
not?
iMessage,
Why not?
an SMS,
Now, obviously,
an
we
AIM,
don't
Skype.
expect you to stay the full 12 hours, but we'll be streaming a long time. You can pop in, hang out for a while. If you happen to stay the whole 12 hours, damn, dude, that is dedication. But obviously, that is it's a long time.
Ryan,
to be watching
come on,
a
you gotta
stream.
pump them up. You can't be like,
It's gonna be awesome.
Okay,
Don't be
it's
like,
okay.
show up
Don't
or
leave.
maybe
Like,
not,
leave,
kinda.
leave.
Jesus,
Come
you're the
on,
worst
man.
hype man ever.
Jesus, Ryan, you had one job.
All right,
one
but
job.
hey, you
All
guys
right.
gotta send us tweets or comments.
February
what
4th.
What
The
games
hype.
do you want us
We're
to
gonna
play
bring
February
the games.
4th?
We're gonna bring the games. You
We're
want to
gonna
see
bring
wrestling
games.
games?
So
We're gonna
bad
get them.
right there.
Boom.
Oh my
Wrestling
God.
games. Boom. You want No Mercy? We might have it. Boom. You want SmackDown versus Raw? Hey, maybe we will. I don't know. Boom. There. February 4th. Come see it. Stay the whole 12 hours. Have a good time. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna have fun with us. February 4th. 12
See
Eastern.
Gravedigger. Tickets are still just $5.
how the hype.
Just kidding, it's free.
Now that explosion happened, very high quality, by the way. My throat hurts now. This is once again possible thanks to all our backers at patreon.com/bytethat. We're already over 50% to the second goal, which is going to bring many things, including a monthly Q&A video specifically by questions sent in by the patrons. We got many other things that are going to be coming down the pipeline. Now, Ryan, this is possible thanks to who?
Yes, for patrons, we'd like to thank our newest patrons this week, David Acosta and TJ Kinder. Thank you guys so much. This week, we'd also like to thank Peter D and Oliver Batista. Thank you all for your support. It really helps us out. And if you'd like to show your support to us as well, you can find all the information at patreon.com/bytethat.
Yes, sir. WWE sometimes just likes to throw content at you, right? We have Ride Along, we have Table for 3, we have Lysol for 3. No, that last one's not actually real. But now a brand new show hosted by Peter Rosenberg, which I am assuming many people know as a radio personality. This man was at one of the WWE pre-show panels. I'm talking about Bring It to the Table. Now, very confusing because I think that for anybody that watches Table for 3, I totally thought this was an evolution of Table for 3, even though it is 3 people talking around a table. So it's a little bit confusing here. But this is where he is hosting. Now, I don't know if this is going to be him hosting weekly. It seems like it's going to be a weekly 30-minute show. And he was joined by Paul Heyman and JBL. Now, we can't really speculate. You know, we're going to find out next week, I guess, as to if they are the 3 guys that are going to be there. I felt very weird listening to the show and watching it.
Did they confirm it was weekly?
There were references, at least in social media. At least in social media,
Okay.
they made references like catch it every week. There was a tweet like that. Now they can change it. Originally, we were going to get an episode of Ride Along between Ellsworth and Dana Bryan, and they swapped for this. So this is pre-recorded. This is not incredibly time sensitive.
But there was a
so
link
that's
to
how the
that.
network
Somebody, how did they get the footage of that? I don't understand.
they posted
Shit,
it-
I need to see that ride along.
Yeah, because they posted it on their YouTube channel, the little preview, as
and then they
What's
took
Now
it
on the
down.
network. And then, this happened. So one of the topics that happened here, this is like an ESPN format where they have a ton of topics.
Yeah, they made it ESPN. Like they even had the little thing on the left-hand panel with what topics are coming up was a lot like SportsCenter.
I think that this show was a way to kind of brainwash fans in a weird way, because one of the topics was Raw being a 3-hour show. And Peter Rosenberg...
Did Paul Heyman just kind of piss you off in this episode?
Absolutely, dude, because like here's the topic. So Peter Rosenberg brings it up. Hey, Raw's a 3-hour show. It's not horrible. I'm paraphrasing, but he's not bashing it. He's not saying like, God awful, why is this happening? He's not doing it like that. And Paul Heyman and JBL proceed to just shower him, making him feel like crap. Like me as a fan, I'm thinking, why do I feel attacked? What did I do? I am watching this show on the network. I pay to watch basically you treat fans like morons. And this is Paul Heyman. He was the one I out loud expressed my disinterest.
Here. You kind of do that for 3 hours every Monday anyway, right?
Kinda. But what was your take on this? Because I felt like, as a fan, I felt attacked by the show. It almost felt like, hey, you don't like this? We're going to tell you why you have to like it. The product, not bring it to the table. But I think that's what they tried to do. Am I wrong about this?
That's absolutely the vibe I got for it. It was a very, you're wrong and here's why I'm right on every single thing. Like, I mean, you could say that Paul Heyman was right on most of his things. Like, yeah, most people bitch, moan, and complain, but you watch every week, so oh well. But I don't think that's a good answer to that stuff. And that it was basically a constant repeat of that. I do think that there was good stuff in there, like JBL's point about James Ellsworth saying why Ellsworth deserves to be there, I think was absolutely spot on. And same with the 205 Live comments. But yeah, it just kind of, it beat that horse of here's why you're wrong just a little too hard.
Yeah, I actually felt like I came out of this liking JBL a little bit more and finding Paul Heyman to be really condescending in the way that he acted towards Rosenberg. The whole thing with 3-Hour Raw, where they're like, okay, yeah, from a business standpoint, we can see that they make a ton of money on the third hour of Raw. And Rosenberg was kind of just saying, well, I think fans would like the show better if it was 2 hours. And they're like, well, it makes more money for them or whatever. And that's them. But the thing they kind of ignored was the long-term future. Okay, so maybe right now it makes sense to keep doing 3 hours. But what do you say when your contract's up and they say, hey, ratings are down 10% from the last time we did a contract, NBC in WWE I'm talking about here. So all of a sudden now they're going to get less money because the ratings are lower and they're, advertisers are, whatever, all that jazz. You're going to eventually burn your audience out. They're going to start watching less, and then you're just going to devalue over the long term. So right now, sure, maybe it makes business sense, but eventually it's not if they keep going the way that it's going.
The thing that really upset me is that Peter Rosenberg was labeled as the fan, the voice of the fan. But then here are GBL and Paul Heyman telling you, well, you're wrong because of ratings. As a fan, like you just brought up that SmackDown beat Raw in the ratings, but as a way that, yeah, awesome, more people are watching SmackDown. We're not saying like, oh, it got 2.6, but Raw got 2.8999. Like, we're not getting that technical because we just care about a good show. We just want to have a good time watching these shows. But then they are telling the voice of the fan by what WWE is telling us, you're wrong. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but here's what you're wrong. And do you see my point? Yes, please, then shut up. It is an insult. And ultimately, I think that's exactly what they want. Because here I am getting worked up over something, and if they bring up another topic like that, like a moron, I'm probably going to watch it, but I'm not sure. Like, if this is weekly, I'm totally not watching it on a weekly basis. But if there's a topic that I feel like it can get me motivated.
This might be the one show this might be the network show I would watch on a weekly basis. I thought the business topics, I just kind of like, it's them sort of talking about rumors and just things it's the type of WWE conversations that you don't hear about from actual people in WWE. And that's what I like about it.
But if those are the answers you're going to get, is that what you really want to hear on a weekly basis?
Okay. Some people, like, I know people personally who actually go to things on the internet to work themselves up, to piss themselves off so that they can rant
and
about
guess what
something.
those people are? Shitty people.
Hey,
But
man,
I'm
you talk about
still
YouTube drama and
interested.
stuff. People love it, sadly.
Hey, listen, all right, I don't watch something all the time just so I can hear or see what I want to see. Sometimes I want to just hear the opinions of others. I want to experience what else is out there, know how other people think about certain subjects, and it opens up my perspective about things.
Keith, I think we're learning about Ryan's fetishes here a little bit.
I think so as well. But I think there's a difference between
Am I really the crazy one here right now?
But I think what you're saying is a little different in this way where you're looking, I understand that point from the point of constructive criticism, right? You're looking for the constructive opinions. Like, really, you're putting a network on the show called The Fans Are Wrong and Here's Why. That's what I took away from it. It's not this other opinion. It's talking down to people.
All
and
right,
that's
it's
the
been
difference.
One episode. Here's how I look at it. Here's
but
how
it's
I
a
look at it.
pilot. How many things have you written off because the pilot sucked, right?
Fair. I don't think it sucked, though. I actually found it to be interesting. So what I'm saying is, what I view this show is the fans voice their opinions on all these subjects in WWE all the time. This is our chance to hear what people inside the business think about it. You know, Triple H himself has said 3-hour Raws are too long. He said, it doesn't matter how good a movie is. He finds himself looking at his watch every once in a while. Just because this is the position of Paul Heyman and JBL doesn't mean that everyone in WWE thinks this way. But it's cool to hear opinions about this type of stuff from people within the company. And yes, it did come off as condescending at times, but that may not be the case for every episode. And maybe this was a bad way to introduce the show to people. But at the very least, I found this to be a pretty interesting show.
Yeah, indeed. And hopefully whatever happens with this, whether it be a weekly show or a monthly show, there's a format here. They do have something that can definitely show a lot of potential. So maybe we come back in about a month.
I don't get why there were so many
happening.
damn commercials in it, though. Why the hell did they go to commercial break 3 times in it?
They want to go all
It's
out.
their
If they
own
want to do
network.
the ESPN format, they want to get commercials in it.
Maybe, do we know if that show is showing up on places other than the network?
Probably.
That would
Actually,
make sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's a 30-minute show, so they can definitely fill a 22-minute time slot somewhere in there. So that's a strong possibility. Now, as the final topic before we get to the listener questions, we want to talk a little bit about the end of year awards. So we had 18 different award
Keep
categories.
the hate train rolling.
Yeah, keep the hate train rolling. This was an amazing experience, very successful. We were scared. Real talk, we were very scared about what everybody listening was going to be thinking about this. We got a lot of tweets, a lot of emails, people saying, hey, thank you, I was working overnight, and you guys kept me entertained for a while. Ryan got a lot of sympathy.
You're damn
from
right.
a lot of the members
Much
of the Fight Club.
deserved sympathy.
Suck it up. You can take it as the sympathy card, or maybe you should have fought a little harder.
Whoa!
Okay, when it's 2 against 1, and I'm never gonna win that.
Aw,
all right.
poor baby. Aw.
Okay, let's tone
Oh
down
my
here.
God. I was the
because-
baby, really. I was the one crying to get their way the whole time. All right.
Goddamn right.
Well, the thing that we got to get to now is not so much corrections, but there's always something that you think about afterwards. We got a lot of tweets from a lot of people saying, hey, what about X and Y? How come they weren't in some of the lists? We're sort of human beings. You sometimes forget. We did have conversations, for example, for Best Entrance. Bobby Roode was not even nominated.
That was an egregious miss.
Yes.
Yes, but I don't think it changes the outcome of that award. I feel that way anyway.
I think it would have changed the top 3. I don't think it would have changed our winner.
So even on that, I disagree. For the same reasons. By the way,
I feel
spoilers.
like we're starting it. I feel like
By
we're
the way,
starting another Best Entrance video right now.
Big spoiler tag. If you haven't listened to or watched our year-end awards and you're interested in that, you should probably skip this part because we're going to get into the nitty-gritty a little bit here. But spoiler over. Or spoiler tag over.
Yeah, over, because the spoilers are going to
Spoiler over. Now let me spoil things.
I would have fought to cut Bobby Roode for the same reason we cut Rich Swann. Because it's a real good theme, the entrance is kind of whatever. The other three were the total
I'm just getting
package.
flashbacks now of this, of us recording this. I can't handle it, dude.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you.
Oh my
it's
God.
2 against 1 again. Shocker.
Another category that...
But the audience, man, I mean, did you see audience participation like that for any other entrance this year? I mean, that's a big deal. Audience participation is a heavy consideration
I
for
guess
entrance.
we're kind of Paul Heyman and JBL here.
I'm done. I'm not actually doing this.
Okay, put the pitchforks down, Ryan. We're not going to punch each other, at least not until Mania, because then we can punch Keith together. I'll turn, and I'll back you up
good
there.
luck.
Another category was somebody that was strongly mentioned by everybody that's listening right now was Becky Lynch for Babyface of the Year. Now, there I legitimately do think it was a large oversight, and she may have gone number one. Like, at least for me, that could have been a strong number one. She's one of the few baby faces that you look in the year, and she doesn't have people that just hate her for the sake of hating her. She is a natural baby face. On Talking Smack,
yeah, nobody.
She
how
justifies.
Can you hate Becky Lynch? I don't think there's no. I mean, Sasha, Charlotte, they get hate. Some people with horrible souls hate Bayley, and then like nobody hates Becky Lynch.
Straight fire.
So she definitely deserved to be in the top 3 at the least.
So, just for reference, our top 3 was Enzo Amore, John Cena, and Shinsuke Nakamura.
I would have put her above...
I do think that Becky Lynch should be in the top 3 there. I would put her above Nakamura.
In place of John Cena, just for the fact that Cena was gone for a good chunk of the year.
So are there any other things you guys want to sort of bring up from the awards, whether it be just initial feedback? You know,
so
we
one
saw
thing
this.
one award that I would like to kind of redact a bit, as I feel we made a personal error. I super feel like I messed up on this one, and that is the Network Show of the Year, where we kind of missed 2 24s that happened this year, and I think that would have super changed the conversation. We talked about Seth Rollins and the Women's Revolution one, when there was also the post-WrestleMania one and the Daniel Bryan retirement 24s. 24 probably should have won that category. Or if not,
There were some
very
good,
close.
Yeah, some damn good documentaries there.
So I felt real awful about that looking back. But other than that, I agree with the rest of our choices.
I think, our match of the year ended up becoming really weird. And I feel that is the category where I feel least represented in that, where really I feel like only the 2 out of 3 falls would have actually been in my top 3.
Let it out, Ryan. Let it out.
So there was a few where I feel like I was screwed. Our breakout star was obviously the big debate, and I won't even get into it. But it was just cool to see that there were people that agreed with you guys that made fair points on on YouTube and Twitter and all that. And there were people that also agreed with me. It was just cool to hear feedback from everyone. Anytime you do a type of rankings, people are going to get really into it. People are going to get passionate about where they feel things should fall. And it's cool we got a lot of great feedback from people, and we like that you have your own opinions about things. We don't want you to agree with us on everything. We certainly didn't agree on everything going into this. So it was really fun and awesome to see. And I think we're all definitely going to do this next year as well. I mean, this year.
Yeah, new year, new us, right? But I really enjoyed seeing everybody's feedback and seeing all the different things where it's like, oh, you feel, or like somebody feels very strongly about this match or this superstar or this entrance. And it makes you really think about it and reevaluate it and maybe go back and watch a couple, which I did in my case, and like reevaluate. And it's interesting to see all those different points of view. And that's what I love about this so much. And you might not agree with all of it, but there are awards.
Yeah, that's the best part about it. I for comparison's sake, I took a look at our 2014 BT Awards, the Bytes, may they rest in peace, where Ryan was in Puerto Rico and how we went about doing that. And the change is so much there, where that one, it was just sort of this one, brief description. I was actually like contemplating, should we repost that video? I know that happens on YouTube sometimes where people repost videos because obviously it gets drowned on YouTube. So if anybody wants us to do that, I just thought it was an excellent exercise because it shows that the network, for example, is such a big thing. Back in the day, we were like, hey, the network exists. Here you had to do a correction where this show was so damn good, it would have been bumped up if we had brought up those 2 episodes. So thank you, everybody that interacted. Continue going to the YouTube channel. It's the best place to comment there because instead of the 3-day format we did last week for audio listeners, each category is its own video. So that way you look at the comments section and it's directly about the topic that you clicked on. So it's no clickbait, right to the point there. And remember, you can always get your questions in, sending them through Twitter, Byte That Cast, utilizing the hashtag AskBT. The best way to do it also is by bytethatcast@gmail.com. Send us your name, your location, because we want to get the Byte Club going. We want to get the Byte Club going.
Well, city or what, country.
not GPS.
Actually, if we
exactly.
get your address, social security number, credit card number, that would be fantastic.
For all the people that are old timers like us, or like us, we're basically asking you ASL.
Yes.
With the question mark.
Especially
so our first question.
Question mark?
Our first question comes from the True Prince of Pro, who asks, I'm going to present 2 scenarios to you guys that I would like to see happen, and I want to know which one you think will most likely happen. So scenario number 1. Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble and takes on Kevin Owens in the main event of WrestleMania. Scenario number 2. The Miz wins the Royal Rumble and takes on John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania. Keep up the great work, guys, and a hashtag give Ryan a chance.
You're goddamn right. Give me a chance.
All right,
I'll lead this one off.
Here's your chance.
Here's my chance. Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble and takes on Kevin Owens in the main event of WrestleMania. It's cute. It's cute that you think that's a possibility, but I think it's highly, highly unlikely. As great as I think it would be, something tells me Kevin Owens doesn't have a prayer of making it to WrestleMania with that Universal title still in his clutches. The Sami Zayn Owens thing, they had a really great feud at the beginning of the year, and I don't think it's time to go back to that well. So I feel like that's very unlikely. The Miz wins the Royal Rumble and takes on John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania. This is definitely a much more likely scenario, and I would definitely be game to see this happen. It would be a really great thing. It'll be like a reverse of what, WrestleMania 27. This time you get the Miz going in as the challenger with Cena as champion. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. Miz has been having an amazing year. Cena is really just getting back into the thick of things, and it would be a interesting main event. See, still also probably unlikely, but I would definitely like to see it.
Yeah, it's really nice to think about scenarios where it's not the 3 obvious contenders to win, because for the last couple of years, it feels like everybody has known, with the exception of maybe like an Alberto Del Rio or something like that. But the idea of The Miz winning the Rumble and battling John Cena is totally the right step based on what we've been talking about. If The Miz is stepping up his game, where can he do that? And where can he show, hey, remember back then, I've grown. And back then, he made it to WrestleMania against who? It was against John Cena. So now he can do that exact same thing, but then look at me now. Look at all this growth. Look at the new character, new personality. He is way better in the ring than he was back then. The Rock better not be a factor there. I don't think it's probably going to happen, but it's unfortunate. Please, no. Just have him have that spotlight. Reuse the same video package. That package was so badass. Just add new footage to it. Call it a day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was so good. One of the best WrestleMania video packages in history. But I actually really like this idea of The Miz winning the Royal Rumble, just because it's something that you don't expect. I can hear the promo in my head on Talking Smack already. Like, you didn't think I could do it, but now I'm going to WrestleMania. Talk. Whatever happens in between. Of the two scenarios, I like that more. I don't really think that's what's going to happen, though. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Snipin' Sexton. Boom headshot.
Love
who
that
asks, "Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time questioner. My question is, which current superstar do you think would fare best if they were picked up and deposited directly into the 1997 wrestling world? Which company would they be in? Would they join the NWO? Would they win any title? My answer would be Dean Ambrose, because his brawling style would fit well in either company. Thanks, guys, and keep up the great work."
It's tricky because initially for me it was going to be Enzo Amore.
Oh, that's who I was going to pick.
But then it's 97. If it was 99, I'd say yes,
keep in
Enzo
mind,
Amore.
this is Stone Cold on the up.
Yeah.
The beginning of DX, the NWO, the Hart Foundation, the Montreal.
I would totally do a guy like Kevin Owens.
No, not the Montreal Screwjob. Never mind.
Yeah, that's a little bit later, but yeah. I would say a guy like Kevin Owens can certainly work. I think that Kevin Owens, people forget, you look at his non-WWE stuff, and he has a very edgy side to him. The Miz isn't the only one that does that. He has that potential there, and you unleash him there. It's a guy with a different look. Now, yeah, that is not the type of look people look for back in the day, because you would either be a Yokozuna or Vader or like a Stone Cold. There was no in between, and he is that. But that's where I think he could excel, where he's trying to break that mold, and where you have a guy like Mick Foley, you have a guy like Kevin Owens, or even like a Cody Rhodes. I know it's like a super odd answer, but remember like undashing Cody Rhodes? You bring somebody else like that, somebody weird, like somebody that was messed up, that was beautiful, but now destroyed. That would be very fun to see.
One I would pick is actually Bray Wyatt. I think Bray Wyatt in 97 could probably do a lot more like character stuff in the way that, Ministry Undertaker got to do his kind of cult thing. And maybe you put this on WCW instead of WWE. It's kind of their answer to the Ministry. And I know WCW had a ton of like factions and stuff like that anyway, but...
Are you talking about the Dungeon of Doom, realistically?
Don't do Dungeon of Doom. Just do the backwoodsy hick kind of cult thing that they can do, and just have it be more character involved and do more, out of the arena type stuff. Basically a ton of stuff that they should be doing now as well. But, back then I feel like they were more into the whole character stuff than they are now. So I think Bray Wyatt would definitely benefit.
For me, I think, honestly, I would say Roman Reigns I would like to see. And he would probably be in WCW, because what would happen would be that he left the WWF at the time to go to Monday Nitro and show up on their first week as a surprise entrant.
Is he Lex Luger?
Oh,
Does
wait, that's Lex Luger. And he's basically the same person.
Whoa.
My jokes, they're good. But seriously, I would like to see Roman Reigns almost as a kind of like a gut check thing, because that's this time in history that was really one of the most developmental histories or like points in wrestling, really, like North American wrestling, where you had that big pivot, that shift with Stone Cold Steve Austin on the up, D-Generation X, the NWO. That was one of the biggest times for character building. Would Roman Reigns hang in a time like that?
I don't think
really
so.
know, but it would be, I would love to see it. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from lovely patron of the show, Liam V, who asks, who do you think will be the surprise entrant in this year's Royal Rumble?
We're getting to a point where anybody that could be a surprise entrant has already been. And I don't think it's going to be like an AJ Styles. The bar was set so high.
There's one big answer, and it seems unlikely, and that's Kurt Angle. Like, he would be the ultimate surprise. I just don't think Kurt Angle's coming back to WWE anytime soon.
Yeah, I think Kurt Angle really is the only logical option. I know there's rumors that Chris Hero, formerly known as Cassius Ohno, may be coming back to WWE, but that would be an odd choice, like at the Rumble or something. If anything, I totally see a scenario where Samoa Joe could be there, where he makes an entrance and he gets eliminated. He just becomes part of the roster, and then he unleashes like a possible storyline there, because I think maybe this is going to get too long of a conversation because it's like Raw or SmackDown. But I think even that idea of Samoa Joe's in the main roster, where's he going to go and why, is far more interesting to me than bringing Old Timer back. But I can't really think of anybody right now, unless it's like a Jeff Hardy, because there are rumors about his contract expiring at some point.
Harvey.
Honestly, I don't think that there's going to be a big surprise entrant this year, because this year, more than most in the last couple, there's a lot of star power in the Rumble, because you've got like Brock Lesnar, Goldberg in it. With what Ryan mentioned earlier, there's potential for the Undertaker being in it. Those are a lot of big names in the Rumble. You don't really need that big surprise. You can save it for later on. And I don't.
There'll probably
I just
be
don't
NXT.
see it.
Like NXT guys might be the biggest surprise.
There will be a NXT guy, but like the coolest situation I could see there is Ty Dillinger coming out as number 10.
Is Scott Hall doing better? Serious question. Is he doing better? Because DDP Hall of Fame, like, it seems like it could work.
Or Jake the Snake?
That's what he wanted. Can we get Scott Steiner in the Rumble, please? I know he was like banned.
That is it. Or
wasn't he banned from like the Hall of Fame thing or something?
That is answering that question with our hearts. That is not with our minds. That is the answer from our hearts.
Scott Steiner, please. I just want one more promo in WWE. We don't even care about the match.
We really only need Simon Dean. It's Simon Dean.
Wants to know.
Simon Dean, what? Okay.
All right, we met our quota for the week.
Yep.
So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Nancy L., who asks, "Hello, it is Nancy from Salt Lake City. I haven't written in a while, but I've been listening to the podcast. This is still one of the best wrestling podcasts." Well, thank you so much, Nancy. Anyways, I have a couple of questions. Now with the rumors of a possible female Royal Rumble happening or not happening, it got me thinking. I know that some people are against a Rumble for the women because they lack the numbers. I disagree in that you add both rosters and sprinkle in some NXT women, legends, and debuts. A decent 20-person Rumble could suffice. So here's my question. If they ever want to do a women's Rumble, who would you guys like to see win it? I personally would like a non-horsewoman to win it. I like them, but they're starting to feel like the Shield guys in terms of at least one of them is in the title picture over the past couple of years at all times. That's a very good point. Seeing how Alexa is doing great and is a champion, and it shows that a non-horsewoman can challenge and become a champion. With that, I would like it to be Natalya from SmackDown and Emma from Raw, so it would be a very unexpected win. So let's answer that one first. Then Nancy's got another one.
I think Emma's an excellent choice.
Yeah, for a female Royal Rumble, I think that is a cool idea, and I would like to see it happen. I think we're like maybe a year or two away from it being a real possibility. Like the women's division is now feeling like it's finally established, and now it can kind of build on that. They can expand the rosters a little bit more, and when once both rosters have expanded, I think in the next couple of years, it'll probably feel more appropriate to do a women's Royal Rumble. So I definitely think it should happen. Who wins it? Honestly, it would be cool to see anyone win it. I think the fact that it happens is more important than who actually wins it. But yeah, it would be cool to see someone like Natalya or Emma, who don't normally get a ton of recognition, get that win. Have it be a good kind of way to push someone new into the women's scene that really hasn't had that opportunity.
I would actually do the Rumble this year. I think that one of my favorite things for many about the Rumble is that you get to showcase that special maneuver from that superstar. We always talk about the Kofi spot. What's he going to do this year? So something like that for the woman will be great exposure for both rosters. So have one 20-woman Rumble. I would totally do that this year. You would have to do it at the beginning of the show, though.
I was going to say, I think they could totally do it this year if they wanted to, but they probably would have announced it by now if it was going to happen.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't see it happening this year. And I'm with you, Ryan, where I think it should happen, but it's a couple of years down the line. As far as who would win it, if it's kind of hard to say that because we don't know what it looks like a couple of years down the line as far as the divisions go, but somebody that I would like to see it is somebody like a Carmella, like an Alexa Bliss, Emma, somebody that's not one of the horsewomen, because Nancy actually brings up a really good point here, how they are kind of feeling like a Shield variant in the women's title picture, where both on Raw and SmackDown, they have been a part of the title picture, period. All right. So on to Nancy's second question. Here is another question for the same topic. We have only seen a handful of women enter the Men's Royal Rumble. Who do you guys see? Let me try that again. Who could you guys see be the next one, either in this one or the next couple of years? Thank you for putting on a great podcast, as always, with great insight.
Thank you very much. I think that Charlotte could totally do it. You know, she does bring up Nia Jax and Charlotte later in the email as some possibilities. It's tough because I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Because even when it was Beth Phoenix, she never got physically involved. She kissed Khalid for crying out loud to eliminate him. So I think that it's hard to, mention one part without mentioning the part where, hey, it's the woman. So she kisses the guy to eliminate him. I don't think they could get away with that now. But then what?
Because they don't want men hitting women.
Exactly.
Right?
Then the problem is, what do? They're going to look like idiots. Sadly, because I would love super kick each other. Like if it's about equality, have Charlotte super kick the hell out of Nunzio, bring him back for one night.
That's a fine line you're treading there, sir.
If it was going to happen this year, I think it would be Nia Jax. Obviously, Charlotte's going to be involved with the women's title, so it doesn't really make sense for her to be in the Royal Rumble. But throw Nia Jax in there. You know what? If she starts beating the hell out of someone and then the dude hits back, I think that's fine. I really don't think that's a big deal. WWE, in their whole PR conscious feeling, will probably be like, no way, Jose, and then he's the surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble.
I hate you for that, by the way.
You pulled a Juan, man.
Yep. I did.
It's I gotta go on a high note. I'm just gonna stop talking.
I honestly don't think it should happen for that same reason. Like you mentioned how everything's moving the way of equality, right? It creates this weird... It's one of those situations...
Isn't that the ultimate equality?
Yes, but...
men fight women.
But for all the positives you create there's so much room for negatives, right? It doesn't seem like... It's not a very smart move. It seems... Yeah, I wouldn't be a fan of that. So I would rather them go the route of giving the women their own Rumble and letting it be its own thing. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from TMK Tanner, who asks us to book an Old Day return. And I'm going to go first with this one by simply saying no.
You know how you book it? God. You book the return in the farthest and longest possible flight. And that is as far as it goes. No. Just, no.
All right, here's how you book it, right? The Old Day come out, be like, yeah, Byte that said we were one of the worst segments of 2016. That's some BS. We want to prove ourselves. We're going to fight the New Day. Let us have our match. Well, music hits. It sounds vaguely familiar, but just really, really old. Because out comes the Older Day. And the Older Day are even older than the Old Day. They're so old that they can't even make it to the ring, and they just disintegrate into a pile of dust, so that the Old Day wins via count-out, get their match against the New Day, go over on the New Day, and the Old Day wins, lol.
And then Trunks goes back in time to try and stop the Old Day from ever happening, but ends up creating a third timeline where the older Day end up taking the tag team titles.
And Demolition is the longest. Day. Just
in the newest day. The newest day is it's just newborn babies, and they can't even fight.
Tope Suicida.
Oh, God. All right, so our next question comes in from Irish Traw 94, who asks, Happy New Year, first of all. Hope 2017 is great for you guys. Thank you very much. Same to you. But my question is, since it's Royal Rumble season, what is your favorite Rumble of all time? Some of mine are 2008, 2004 with Goldberg spearing Nunzio, almost killing him, and 2012 with the 40-man Battle Royal. What about your guys's?
2001 always sticks out as a cool one. That it wants flip it out because I stole his. You got Drew Carey in that one. Like, that was clearly the highlight.
You okay there, buddy?
Yeah, no, losing my voice there a bit. But no, it was cool. There was a lot of, like, the hardcore division was still a thing, so people were bringing weapons and stuff. It was really interesting. Stone Cold coming back, winning it was pretty awesome. So 2001 is probably my favorite.
Sadly, I got to piggyback on that. I actually pulled up a list here of a couple of the entrants just for context. This is where the change was really happening. You had your Stone Cold in there, but then you were also seeing, okay, so in a couple of years, this is going to change. This is also the precursor to WrestleMania 17, one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. You have your Drew Carey, you have your Perry Saturn. Raven is still in the company there. Scotty 2 Hotty, Raku.
Kane setting the record.
Yeah, this is
Roman Reigns broke it.
Yeah, this is the Royal Rumble Kane that people talk about to this day. And you have, Matt and Jeff in there. You have Cake Wick. You have R-Truth back in there. So if you want a time capsule that will greatly confuse you, put this, because when they look at R-Truth, most people do not remember Cake Wick. But here he is.
Getting rowdy.
Yeah, remember getting rowdy with him and the Road Dogg? Man, that was a barn burner. I watched his
didn't he debut on Sunday Night Heat? I'm pretty sure I watched that one.
Yes, he did.
Get rowdy. Come on.
But yeah, 2001 is definitely up there with one of the best Rumbles of all time. 2004, like mentioned here, is also another one of my favorites. That was with the whole Undertaker tease and Steven Richards going the distance. It was a really good Rumble. 2000 is another favorite of mine. Ryan just got it.
I had to think for a second. I was like, wait, Steven Richards had a run in the Rumble?
2000 is another favorite of mine, but that's mostly because of a moment where Taka Michinoku just gets destroyed, and then they play it like 15 times.
The face plant, right?
The face plant, right? That's another favorite Rumble of mine. The Royal Rumble is so good. Still, through all in all, still one of my favorite matches of the year. God,
you still got to think
so
about
good
the
until
snack.
those couple of years where everyone just got super pissed off at the Royal Rumble.
Hey, we're still looking for ideas for the snacks, like hashtag Byte snacks or something like that on Twitter, because we got to figure out what to eat during this pay-per-view.
Indeed. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Collector9000, who asks, what is the worst wrestling game you've ever played? And also, what is the best wrestling game you didn't have on your top 10 list? Let me know.
This is an easy one. Worst wrestling game I ever played has to be WrestleMania 21 for the Xbox. It is I don't know why I bought it. Everyone told me not to, but I got it anyway. And it was horrible, full of glitches, and just a complete mess. And for some reason, when you get knocked on the ground, you have to roll around for a while before you can get back up, and it's really weird. So, another game that wasn't on our top 10 list that should be is WWE 2K14. I think that is probably one of the best wrestling games ever made, which is weird because back before it came out, we all wanted to write it off because that's the year when 2K took over like THQ and everything. But it just kind of has everything that you're looking for in a wrestling game. It's got a good creation suite. It's got good story mode. It's got a pretty good like universe mode, and the gameplay just feels right for the Smackdown series.
Yeah, ditto for the 2K14 part. I don't think that's going to change that much. I gotta say, for a bad game, It is WCW Backstage Assault. I don't know what they were thinking about for that game. I actually own it for N64, and I played it about a month ago just for play that. I wanted to see, like, is it bad? Yes. It's so bad I did not even suggest it. We're going to save that for like 10 years from now. There's not a wrestling ring in a wrestling game. There's not a freaking ring.
They're edgy, dude.
Dude, so
I know it was bad.
You got to disqualify that. It's horrible. It is horrible. Aside from that, I just didn't like the Attitude and Warzone games. So you could say the ECW games as well because they basically had the same engine.
As far as bad wrestling games go, the first thing that comes to mind, but I haven't played in a long time, so I can't really back it up too much, and that's The Simpsons Wrestling, where I remember not having very fond memories of that back in the day because I didn't find it very fun. As far as the best wrestling game that wasn't on our top 10 list, let me tell you why Saints Row 3 is the best wrestling game of the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 generation.
This is Keith Simon Dean.
I fought so hard to put that on the list because it is the best wrestling game. There is a mission where you are in a wrestling ring and you are fighting a giant luchador. Hulk Hogan is in that game as a luchador, and he is your manager. He teaches you how to wrestle. You fight a gang of luchadors. The bosses cut promos on you in the most wrestling way possible. You throw in, there's a thing with a broom in the wrestling ring. It's crazy. You do hurricanranas. You can do crazy, crazy wrestling things. If you have not played Saints Row 3, you need to, because it is the best wrestling game of that generation.
Except it's
no
not
question,
a wrestling game.
Nothing comes close. It is a wrestling game. It is the best
no, it's not.
One of them. All the WWE
Gex the
games
Gecko
are
has a
garbage,
wrestling segment
are
in it. I don't call it a
garbage
wrestling
compared to
game.
Saints Row the Third. The Saints Row is the most pure wrestling experience. The only thing that comes close is WWE All Stars, because that is
the
other one that is only a good game. That is the only one that is a good game. Saints Row the Third
Keith,
is a masterpiece. It is one of the best games, one of the best wrestling games. You all need to play
Keith,
it.
You know what? I completely agree with you, man.
Oh my god!
Good point.
Now you're just trolling it.
Thank you for the question, sir.
So thank you for the question.
I'm going to take this one anyway.
Question of the show, yes, Ryan, you take this one because I believe I am missing some context for this.
Okay, so this question comes from Brett Clark
in Australia,
and he says, "Hey guys, it's guys, not guyses." Thank you for the clarification. I'm ashamed that none of my fellow Aussies have bothered to contact you when you questioned drop bears a few weeks ago. For those who didn't hear, I mentioned that there's rumors of this thing in Australia where these like vicious koala bear guys hang up in the trees, and when you're walking through the forest, they drop down on you and attack you. You can look it up online and you'll see scary pictures of koalas and people with video, whatever. So anyway, he says, I'm ashamed that none of my fellow Aussies have bothered to contact you when you questioned drop bears a few weeks ago. Sorry to break it to you, but they are simply an old Aussie folklore. There was a TV commercial, I think it was for Bundaberg rum a number of years ago, that turned the drop bear from folklore to real life, in quotations. You gotta check out some of the Bundy rum commercials. Their lead character was a talking polar bear. Bundy Bear as their main character.
Bundy Bear sounds like a cool dude.
He has made the millions. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to set you all straight on that one. I love the show. Enjoy your banter with the awards last week. Kept me entertained while driving to work.
Yeah.
I guess I should ask a question while I have your attention. So first of all, thank you for clarifying. We're glad to get someone who lives in Australia to confirm that for us, so we can put it to rest. There are no drop bears. So anyway, on to his question. I rediscovered my love for wrestling a year or two ago thanks to my now 8-year-old son. He reads a kids magazine, K-Zone, where they have fictional battles between two characters, often featuring WWE superstars. For example, Roman Reigns versus Ant-Man.
Huh.
What would be your dream matchup between a WWE superstar past or present in Marvel video game or superhero be? Goldberg versus Hulk would be interesting, he suggests. So what do you guys think?
Right off the bat, the idea of CM Punk versus Deadpool would be kind of amazing. There's that contrast there. And Stone Cold versus Wolverine. Those two I very much would love to see.
Well, okay, Superman versus John Cena is a matchup I think we all need to see.
That would be boring, though. Boring.
That is, well, okay, that is... Come on,
Would it end?
Would it end? They would just keep kicking out at 2.
But what else do we have? Like, he brings up
Who
Marvel.
would be a good matchup for
Brock
Batman?
Lesnar versus the Hulk would be
Brock
pretty
Lesnar,
awesome.
the Hulk would be good. Who would be a good matchup for Batman?
For Batman, Stone Cold versus
Undertaker.
Batman. Or no, Sting versus Batman would be cool.
Or
Okay.
the Undertaker could work. Ooh, Kane versus Bane. It even rhymes. Kane and Bane. And it writes itself. I can
It would
picture
be on a
the
plane.
DVD.
It would be the main event. There would be pain.
It would be insane.
Ugh.
How about like Spider-Man versus like Kalisto or something?
Yeah, like Spider-Man versus Sami Zayn or something like that.
Spider-Man versus Neville.
Who would Solid Snake battle?
All jokes aside, probably somebody like Chris Benoit, because it would be like a very technical masterpiece, not from the Chris
Maybe
Benoit
Bret Hart
aspect of
then?
things,
So
or
we
like
get
maybe
him-
Bret Hart.
Yeah, Bret Hart, man. Good pick, Ryan. Yeah, Benoit would totally work for
Hey,
that, actually.
I can look past it, okay?
Yeah, that would actually work. Those are a couple of good ones. I think that I would love the idea of Hulk versus Brock. I really like that one.
And I mean, in all honesty, the superheroes are gonna win like almost every single time, right? I mean, their power levels are just insane.
Over 9,000?
Over
Who would battle
9,000?
Vegeta? Who would battle Vegeta?
Seth Rollins, probably the anti-hero.
Nah, I'm thinking Sam and Dean.
Oh my god! Of course.
Who's the shittiest superhero? Who's like
Aquaman.
just the worst? Aquaman. It would be Aquaman versus Johnny Curtis because they're both garbage.
Whoa! Dude! Okay, you crossed the line. You crossed the
No,
line,
you
my
do
friend.
Aquaman versus James Ellsworth in just the most awkward matchup. And Aquaman ends up controlling James Ellsworth because he's a turtle.
Oh my
that'd be
god.
great.
We need a new Injustice game. WWE versus the world.
You know
We
what?
can ROM hack this.
That game should exist, and it should be WWE Immortals, but it just never happened, and it bums me the hell out.
Yeah, so if they were to have the superhero fights, like the WWE Immortals versions of the wrestlers would have to be the ones that would fight so that it would be even.
Yeah, great questions though this week. You know, we just started 2017. It's going to be quite the thrill ride. We brought up the BT Awards. We know it was a lot of content, so maybe not all of you have taken some time to check that out. So sort of a homework if you want, if you will. Just go back, listen to the ones that you haven't. You can send us emails letting us know, which was your favorite category. Definitely do that, bytethatcast@gmail.com. By the way, just a quick thing. We now have a coupon code for the Pro Wrestling Loot Crate. That's something I open up on the YouTube channel. So just Byte that all together. You can get 10% off your first purchase. Yeah, for everything else, I'm now going to hand this microphone, not actually, because then you would stop hearing me. I'm going to, Ryan, go.
All right, well, we want to thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the Byte That podcast. Thank you guys. It's nice to be back. The first episode of 2017, honestly, it felt a little weird, like taking that week off. You know, we had the BT Awards going on, but there was no traditional podcast. But it is good to be back. So thank you guys for listening. As always, if you want to see extra content from us, you can head over to youtube.com.
Hold up. We need to stop. I just found out about some breaking news that is happening right now.
What up?
Dixie
Yes.
Carter has officially resigned as TNA chairperson.
Wow.
Whoa, okay.
Right?
So
All right,
We didn't
that's
miss
the
it.
topic.
We almost got it.
I saw Keith perk up like a kid on Christmas. So leading off, Keith, why don't you just lead off with your thoughts then? Immediate reactions.
How crazy is that? Like, that's always
Doesn't
been the
seem real.
constant in TNA. It doesn't seem real because that's always kind of been the thing where that was like the anchor that all of this stuff is happening to TNA, but that was the thing that never changed. And it finally changed. And even going back to that lawsuit from earlier earlier last year, where everybody just kind of got bummed out about that. Like, who knows this is like legitimately one of the biggest things that has ever happened to TNA, whether it be a good thing or a bad thing. It's too early to say, but holy crap.
Yeah, this is huge because for such a long time, we were thinking about, hey, WWE's going to purchase the TNA video library because of guys like AJ Styles, but then this other company was the one that apparently bought the majority. So for quite some time, we've known that Dixie Carter has not been the majority owner of TNA, but she's still been involved, right? And ideally, we've said this so many times, we want TNA to be a company that does compete with WWE, that does compete with everybody else. But with the exception of Broken Matt Hardy, Eli Drake, and some other things happening there, people treat TNA as a joke or refuse to go back and watch it. Like, I refuse to watch it on a weekly basis because until this all gets sorted out, and I think that I could just watch it and I think to myself, these people are getting paid. So if I see them on TV this week, they're not going to be written out of the storyline the next week because they left the company. So does this change any of that? I'm not sure. I'm hoping it does so that 2017 gets off on the right foot.
It could be a first step in some huge changes.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Dixie Carter's power in the company diminish very quickly over the last year or so. So it's kind of no surprise at this point that she was eventually going to leave. I don't think any of us expected it to be like this soon. But it is a huge deal. So now I think the company Anthem is the majority owner of TNA.
I believe so, yeah.
And so we don't really know what the future holds, but this could mean a very different philosophy and direction for the company eventually. So I'm interested to see where it goes. As far as how Dixie Carter operated things, you heard a lot more bad than you heard good. So I hope this is good news for TNA.
All right, now you can finish closing the show.
All right, so I think it's time to close out. I'm glad we were able to get that in when breaking news did occur. So, as I was saying before, if you want more of us, more of our sweet voices and faces and all of that lovely stuff, you can head over to youtube.com/ByteThatCast. You can check out all the Byte That year-end awards if you haven't seen it already. You got like 5+ hours of content. I believe we also have a video coming up this weekend, Juan.
Yes, we do. We do have a weekend video talking about 5 bad nicknames in WWE history. For Gold patrons, that's available right now in early access, but Ryback's is a part of this video. We talk about him.
We talk about him. He's not in the video, but...
Yeah, he's not actually in there, but there's a picture of him at some point in the video, so that kind of counts.
And we talk about Ryback a lot.
Yes. So anyway, if you want to interact with us on social media, you can do so by hitting up our Twitter @ByteThatCast. You can check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/ByteThatCast. If you want to go the extra mile in supporting us, you can head over to patreon.com/ByteThat. For as little as $1, you can get access to awesome exclusive content, such as a raw and uncut video version of the podcast. And speaking of our Patreon, we have our patron goal to live up to, and that is going to be our 12-hour wrestling video game stream that's going to happen at twitch.tv/ByteThat, and that'll be February 4th starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's going to do it for this week, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next week.